Today we are going to listen to the guys who are actually implementing it, who are deploying all the technologies and working towards digital transformation for their organizations in various ways. To give us some perspective and to give us a better idea of how critical digital is, how is it really transforming, how do we really see it from the point of view of our own needs. We have with us a very, very distinguished expert this morning, Mr. Sukanta Day, who was the former president of emerging business at Tata Teleservices and a very passionate digital guru himself, who's been doing a lot of things in digital transformation, and he's been advising companies. So I would like to invite Mr. Sukanta Day on stage and share with us his experiences and his perspectives and views on digital transformation. Mr. Day.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Abraham, thank you for the lovely introduction. So I'd like to start off by saying that the fourth industrial revolution in which we are deeply in now, how is it different from the first, the second, and the third? And the best way to explain that is with an analogy of an industry I worked in the last 15 years. I still do a lot of work in that industry, which is the telecommunication industry. I started my career with Unilever, which is today Hindustan Unilever. It's used to be called Hindustan Lever, where everything was done in a sequential manner. You manufactured the soap, you did quality control, packed it. Everything is going one after the other. So it's 1, 2, 3, it's sequential. Whereas in the telecommunication business, when I joined AT&T Wireless as their head of India way back in 2001, I suddenly, all these things in the telecommunication product or service, you want to call it, happen simultaneously. Party A calls Party B, the call gets connected, everything is happening simultaneously. The production of the call, the delivery of the call, the quality of the call, the feedback and the end feedback of the consumer. So we have moved from the sequential to the simultaneous. And that is the best way to explain the fourth industrial revolution. That you had the steam, the electricity, one by one, happening. But now, in the fourth industrial revolution, a lot of things are going to happen together. Now, what does this mean? It has, in my opinion, 4 distinct elements. Number 1, the sequencing to the simultaneous, which I explained to you. Number 2, in the good old days, we used to sell a product and make a profit or a loss or whatever. Then people went from product to services. And then they went from product to services to solutions. So you sell now product, services, solution. Sometimes you sell all the 3. So again, you're moving away from the product to the service to the solution and probably all the 3. And I will give you examples later on of big businesses which are only in the services area, mega businesses. They don't manufacture any product. All of you know the names, but we'll discuss that a little later. The third thing which is going to happen in the fourth industrial revolution, in the management of change, is the structure of whole businesses and organization is going to dramatically change, because there are going to be huge needs of specialized people like all of you are sitting in the audience. And so outsourcing will be not a thing which you do to reduce costs, but it will be something which is a necessity. I'll give you an example. For example, with the GST coming in, the warehousing structure has changed all over India. Now there are large warehouses. Earlier you used to have a warehouse in this state, that state, because this state had this tax and that tax, and you're playing all these monkey games. But right now, all India is only one state tax structure, and therefore the warehouses are very, very big. The warehouse, the location of the warehouse will be determined by where you want to be close to the production center or the consumption center or whatever other parameters, or near the highway, etc. But the warehouses are going to be significantly bigger than what the mama papa warehouses are going to go. The warehouse is going to be 10 lakh plus square feet, huge areas, multiple rackings, etc., etc. Now, obviously, in order to manage a warehouse like this, you need everything. You need robotics, you need artificial intelligence, you need blockchain, God knows what you need. So the business manager of that warehouse, the head of that warehouse, has to obviously outsource these specialized skills and technologies and bring it to his warehouse, and to make sure that he runs the business in an efficient manner, where his revenue line is high, his costs are low, and he's adopted a technology which is relevant and which is green. So the third thing is the structure of businesses and organizations are going to dramatically change with the fourth industrial revolution. And the fourth thing is what I call human resources. There has to be a tremendous amount of reskilling done. And the whole HR organization are going to completely be different. They will, of course, be horizontals because everybody will be a specialized knowledge person. The hierarchies will just not be there at all. Your boss may not even know or may not even want to know the skills you have, but he'd like to know the application of the skills in your relevant area and what is the return he is getting from you as an employee in that organization. So there will be a huge amount of reskilling. And I was just telling outside somebody that I did my 5 years of engineering in IIT Kharagpur. Obviously, that is totally irrelevant now. So the things are going to change. So these are the 4 important things which is going to be in the fourth industrial revolution. I'm going to give you a few examples because time is short. Already Abraham has warned me not more than 10 minutes. But I'm going to give you a few examples of where India is in the fourth industrial revolution, how deep we are in it, and what are we, to give you a flavor of what is going on in and around the country. So let's start with virtual reality and augmented reality. This market in India is expected to register a CAGR of 55%, which is more than 50% during the period 2016 to 2021 as per Tech Science Research. So that's a huge amount of adoption. Applications are, in many places, but they're in right across the spectrum. It's not that you are using this particular technology in one thing, only entertainment. No, it's in retail, auto, healthcare, training, defense, gaming, entertainment, and right across the horizon it is there. And there are, of course, many devices available in India bought by the big Microsoft, Halogens, Oculus Rift, HTC Vive, Samsung, Gear VV, Xiaomi, Lenovo, the Mirage Solo, Google Daydream. You are all aware of it. All those devices are in India. And the amazing part is that the startup organization, the youngsters here, there are many startups, but there are, like, say, 5 prominent startups: Grey Kernel, Miracle Studio, Gazematic, Loop Reality, and SmartSwix. To give you these examples, the point I'm trying to make is that AR and VR are really on the ground in India. People are not just talking about it, not experimenting, they're actually implementing it and trying to see how it impacts their business. Blockchain. The Indian blockchain technology, again, is expected to grow at a CAGR of 58% in the year 2018 to 24. Again, it's far more than 50%. And here again, it is across the sector, more in financial sector, BFSI vertical, especially in banking institution, integration of blockchain technology in their information and financial service database. Because as you know, in blockchain technology, the data is kept in certain types, in a certain manner in blocks, and you cannot change the data once the data is fed in. So the integrity of the data is important, which is obviously used more in the financial sector. So 56% of Indian businesses, including SMEs, are moving towards blockchain technology, making the technology a part of their core business. The key areas in the technology expected to make maximum important are payment and fund transfer, mostly in the financial area, post-trade settlements, and digital identity. The government of Andhra Pradesh, even governments are getting involved in it. Government of Andhra Pradesh collaborated with the various blockchain startups in their state, such as Snapper Technologies and Simplify, to explore the administrative processes. The state government of Andhra Pradesh is going to integrate its own e-program with the blockchain. So this is the application even at a government level. Again here, there are many startups. I'm just naming 5 of the top ones: S-Pro, Conscious Technologies, 10 Clouds, SofaClick Technologies, and State Development. Robotics. I gave you the example of the Indian warehouse. The Indian warehouse robotics market is again expected to grow at a double-digit CAGR, that is more than 10%. So increasing technological advancement, rapid penetration of automation technologies in warehousing, growing e-commerce demand for different type of warehousing, speed to market, our enhanced quality and reliability in warehousing and aiding Indian warehousing robotics market. So they have realized that there has to be a human as well as a robotics interface to make the warehouses more efficient. The Indian warehouse robotics market has been segmented into following categories. I'm going to read it out. Don't ask me any questions on it. I may not know. If you are experts, you got to reply to this question if it comes up. It's mobile robotics, articulated robotics, cylindrical robots, SCARA robots, parallel robots, and Cartesian robots. So there are so many types of robots, not just the lady we saw in Dubai, who was India's first humanoid, So the world's first humanoid, sorry. The major players operating in the Indian warehouse and robotics market are many. I'm going to just mention a few: JBT Corporation, Daifuku Company, ATS Automation Tooling Systems, Blue Botics SA, Dematic Corporation, Fanu Corporation, Kivia Systems, and so many. And I'm sure you people will know more than me on this. But the point I'm trying to make is that robotics is deeply entrenched into India. They have already come in, though the growth is showing as only 10% plus, but I believe that it will be far more than that. Nearly 200% spurt in technology and Indians looking for employment in robotics. Obviously, these things generate new types of employment, and they're looking for jobs in that sector. And it's led by Maharashtra, followed by Karnataka and Telangana. There are nearly 10 states out of the 29 states in India which are using some sort of robotics, and therefore they're also looking for people who are specialized in robotics and giving training and getting jobs for them. Maharashtra, Karnataka, Telangana, Tamil Nadu, Haryana, New Delhi, West Bengal, Gujarat, Uttar Pradesh, and Kerala. Surgery is another area. In the healthcare segment, surgery is an area where robotics is making a breakthrough, with the sector expanding and growing at the rate of higher than 20% between 2017 and 2025 compared to the global rate of 12%, which is, if we take a global average, averages are misleading, but India is adopting faster than the global average in robotic surgery. India currently has more than 50 robotics firms, including Intuitive Surgical, Accuracy, Maser Robotics, Metrobotics, Synaptic Medical, Titan Medical, etc. And if I've not mentioned some of the major ones, please forgive me. Hospital chains such as Apollo, Fortis Healthcare, Max Healthcare use surgical robotics, and so on and so forth. Tata Motors uses robotics in production, so do other companies, etc. Multinational subsidiaries like Samsung, LG, Philips, who are based in India, they use industrial robots. Next is IoT. IoT market in India is, of course, expected to be huge, like anywhere else, about $15 billion, in fact, by 2020, accounting to 5% of the global IoT market. This is as per NASSCOM. Nearly 120 companies are offering solutions in the IoT sector. Smart lifestyles, connected homes, buildings, embedded homes are the emerging segment. Healthcare, manufacturing are the leading verticals demanding IoT solutions. Already about $60 million of investment in IoT has taken place since 2014, and so on and so forth. So again, IoT is deeply entrenched in the Indian fourth industrial revolution. And the most talked about thing, AI, finally. 400 AI startups. In the other segments, I talked about 6 and 10, maybe there are 15, 20 startups. 400 AI startups, of which 150 million, the highest investment has gone into AI in the last 5 years. AI also has the potential to become nearly $1 trillion industry in the Indian economy by 2035. Investments in AI in Indian healthcare industry is also likely to grow, though right now it's most focused on robotics. The focus of most AI-based healthcare in India has been extended medical services to traditionally undeserved society, sections of society, and so on and so forth. There are a lot of other, this thing I don't want to bore you with because I will be running out of time. So digital transformation will add an estimated about $150 billion to India's GDP and increase the growth rate by 1%. Digital transformation and adoption of emerging technologies like the ones I described, AI, cognitive services, robotics, etc., will really disrupt the entire business structure, as I explained earlier. While 90% of the organizations in India are in the midst of their digital transformation, but only 7%, not a good figure, in the entire region can be classified as leaders. That means they're doing the digitization process properly. Almost half these leaders, 48%, have a full digital transformation strategy in place, and the leaders experience, and they experience the double-digit benefits. According to recent research, Digital Transformation Index 2018 by Dell Technologies, about 12% of Indian businesses have already become digital leaders, slightly different from 7%, which is better. In fact, it is interesting to know that even when compared to other economies like the Chinese economy, India has 5% more digital leaders than in China. India is leading globally with 38% of Indian leaders agreeing that humans and machines have to work together hand in hand. This is the Dell survey. So I go back to, again, to the my first part of my speech, was that there will be 4 things which are going to happen in the 4th industrial revolution, because everything is going to happen, from the sequencing to the simultaneous. So all these things, virtual reality, robotics, AI, they're going to all work together. It's not that you're going to have one, then the next. In a warehouse, you may use all these technologies. As an example, I gave you. The second example is products moving to services to solutions. And the best example of that I can give you is that if you see the 2018 valuation of global companies, number 1 is Apple at $858 billion, very close, and sometimes Amazon goes higher than Apple. It's about the same, about $850 billion. And then you have Alphabet and so on and so forth, etc. Can any one of you please name a company which doesn't sell, which doesn't have its own products, but is a gigantic company? Can you name, can any one of you name a company? Uber, Ola, yes, yeah. So you have these very interesting point, because these are companies like Uber, Ola, Airbnb. They are completely asset light. They do not have the product which they sell. They do not own the product which they sell. Like Airbnb doesn't own any hotel rooms. Uber doesn't own any taxis, etc. If you look at 2 large organizations, one is Amazon, which is at $858 billion. And if you look at Alibaba, which is number 6 only in that same horizon, that's about $485 billion. If you add both these 2 up, it's a staggering $1.2 trillion. And what do? They are just connecting a few things together. They do not have their own products. They are selling solutions and services. So you have moved away from the product to the service and to the solution. So that is the second important point in the 4th industrial revolution, apart from the examples of Uber, Ola, and all that. And the third is the structure. The structure is already dramatically changing. You will have a core, like a car manufacturer, like a Mercedes or a Mitsubishi or whatever. They have huge vendors. The vendors bring in everything into their plant. They just fit it up, check the quality, put their brand name, and out. And that's the system which is going to happen in most of the businesses. So outsourcing is going to be a very important thing, and each of these outsourced sort of companies, like an AI company or a robotics company, are going to play a key role in the development of the mother brand as well as of the economy. And finally, of course, HR. Obviously, with all the examples I've given you, there's a huge amount of learning, relearning. They're going to be set up, obviously, a training institute and a college which will only focus on these things and build your next generation economy. So we are in exciting times, and technology, the advantage of technology is it transcends the barriers of caste, creed, religion, sex. You can use technology anywhere in the world, whether it's in a communist country or a Muslim country or a Hindu country. It's the same technology. So technology is agnostic. So technology is a big equalizer. So digital is going to be really the fastest growing business of modern times. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Day. I think a very, very informative and insightful. It might be a good idea if you convert. It had got a lot of information. If you want, it might be a good idea to convert it into a small booklet and circulate it so that people are aware of all that is happening and which are the players and what are the trends and so on and so forth. So thank you so much.